Hi guys. As Jackie said, my name's Zoe. Let's see, here we go. My name's Zoe Black, and today we're going to be talking about going back to the pool and anxiety and what that is, what that might look like, and what we can do if we're feeling that. But the first thing I kind of want to say is that this session will work really well if we can all work together and be a bit interactive and chat with each other. Otherwise, it could be really boring and you might just have to listen to me for an hour, and I don't think anybody wants that. So what I will say is please use, I'm sure you guys have been using Zoom and things before, so please use the chat function or unmute yourself and just talk. That would be amazing. And make it a bit more fun for all of us, I think. There we go. So I thought I would just say a little bit about me and who I am first, so you're not thinking, who is this strange lady talking to us? As I said, my name is Zoe Black, and I am just finishing up my last few months of training to be a sport and exercise psychologist. So my background was in swimming. I was a swimmer like all of you guys. I swam for M&B right into my teenage years. And then I kind of jumped into a coaching role, and then I ended up teaching. And then I was running their swimming teaching program until COVID came along. So I am missing the pool as much as you guys are, and getting in the pool. In terms of sports psychology work, I've been doing some stuff pre and during lockdown with a couple of different teams. So I've been doing some stuff with the Glasgow Rocks, the basketball team, with Ayr United Football Club, with a bit of football, and with a rugby team. And I don't know if anyone is here that was actually in the workshops I did before Christmas with Sassa North Summers. If you did, there might be a couple of things that you go, oh, I remember that, that was helpful. So yeah, so I've done quite a lot of different things, and that's me. So hopefully I feel a little bit less like a stranger now. So I thought I'd give a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. I think we've got an hour. We've got quite a lot to squeeze in, but that doesn't mean there's not time for conversation and time for questions. So we're going to just have a bit of a chat about going back to the pool, hopefully tomorrow for everybody. Our hopes and hesitations, or what we might be excited about, what we might be worried about, and then a bit about managing our expectations and what that means and what it will be like going back to the pool. And then we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety. We're going to talk about what it is, and how we can manage it, or what we can do about it. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions. I hope that sounds okay and that's what you guys signed up for. If it's not, or if you have any questions, just drop a wee message in the chat. Is there a chat function? I think there is. I just couldn't see it. There we go. And I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. So to get started, my first question for you all is, how do you feel about returning to the pool? Are we excited? Are we nervous? Oh, I can see some messages popping in. Excited, great. Oh, and you have more training sessions. That sounds ideal. Nice, Jensen. Excited, excited. Lots of excited, a little bit nervous, oh, very excited, not so good. 6 times a week, oh, that sounds like a lot. That could be good. Excited, nervous. Yeah, there's kind of a real mix there, isn't there? We're excited, we're nervous, and we're going to talk a little bit about why and kind of trying a chance to be greater. Yes, I really like that. Happy to be back swimming. I bet we've all missed it. Yeah, okay, so we've got a real mix of excited, lots of excited, a bit nervous, a bit scared, a chance to be better. That's a great point, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of unpick all those different things and see, what are we excited about, what are we nervous about, and then what can we do about that. So my next question for you, what might it look like? I think Jensen said there he's going to be going back into the pool more than he was before. Does anyone else, do we know what it's going to look like when we go back this time? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? More? Oh, better locations for swimming, that sounds good. A bit different, similar, different pool. Different, similar. A different coach. Oh, that's going to be very different then, isn't it? If you've got a different coach to work with this time. So we've got different pools, different locations. They might be better, they might just be different. More time to work on different things. Yeah, so it sounds like there's going to be, for some people, a lot of change. And for some people, maybe not so much change. Go, let these people in. More time to work on things, yeah. So there's going to be things that are going to be the same. So you're still going to turn up and you're still going to get in the pool and you're still going to swim. That's for sure. There are things that are going to be different. There might be new protocols in place. You might have to get changed in a different place. You might have to go to a different place. Some of you are going to different pools. You might have a different coach. You might be swimming with different people. And is there anything that we're unsure about, that we don't know? Is it going to be the same? Who's going to be your coach? Are your friends coming back? No, we're not sure. Nothing that we're unsure of. That sounds good. So we've established that we're excited, we're nervous, we're happy, we're maybe a little bit scared about going back to the pool. Some things are going to be the same. Some things are going to be different. So it's not going to be exactly as it was before. What are some of the challenges that we might face when we go back to the pool? Can anyone think of any? Stamina. Yeah, that's a big one. That's the first one I wrote down. Waking up early again, that's a good one too. That wasn't on my list, but that's a very good point. Technique, yeah, definitely. I think that's maybe the kind of the three big ones, isn't it? Your fitness, you maybe been doing some running or some other sports and things to keep you kind of moving and keeping you fit, but getting back in the pool is kind of a little bit different, isn't it? Getting back into routine, yeah, getting back into routine. Hard for our body to get back into condition. Yep. Get used to being in the water again. Oh, less time to relax. That's a good point, isn't it? We've had quite a lot of time to relax and switch off and enjoy the sunshine recently, and now we're going to get busy again. That's a really good point. So we've got quite a few challenges there too. The other ones that I thought about was that you might not be with the same friends that you were with before. If it's been a whole year and things have changed and people have moved and you've moved, there might be new faces. Yeah, practical stuff, no showers. That's not great. Where are you going to do all your chatting if there's no showers at training? 3 big lanes rather than normal 6. Yeah, that does sound like that could be a bit of a challenge, and you'll have to get used to swimming in a kind of a different way. So we're excited, we're nervous, we're happy. We have some of us, it's going to be very different. Some of us, it might be the same, different coaches, new pools. We're going to have some new setups thanks to COVID regulations. And then we've got kind of the fitness, the stamina, that's going to be hard to get back to. We're going to have less time to relax. We've got to find our way back into that routine again. So there's definitely going to be some challenges for us. But what might be some of the good things that it might bring? I'm waiting for the influx of people excited. Seeing friends again, yes. Routine and getting to see people. Yep, definitely. Friends, normality, yep. Back to doing what we enjoy, yep. Those are the big ones, isn't it? Friends, swimming. You won't be bored. Yes, I like that's a great point. Just getting back to it. I think for us, some of us, it feels like it's been so long. Oh, a chance to get strong and better and show how much you've improved and work on one thing each session. That's a great point. Having fun with different people, chance to make new friends. Yeah, that's a really good point. It is an opportunity to make new friends, isn't it? Seeing everybody. Yeah, so there might be lots of challenges, but there's lots of good things that are coming as well, I think. Okay, my last question for you guys for a little while, and then I'll let your brains have a wee rest. Are you feeling scared or anxious? And I suppose this is a bit of a mean question, isn't it? Because we haven't spoken about what anxious means yet. A little bit anxious. Both, a little. A bit, both. I know I am. A little bit of both. No, you think you'll be better than before. That's good. Bit of both. Yeah, okay. So there's a little bit anxious that you won't be as good as you were. Yeah, that's a really big one, isn't it? A really big one. Okay. Okay, we're going to spend just a little bit just now before we talk about anxiety, talking about how we can prepare for all these different feelings and all these different challenges that we're going to face. Because as we've spoken about, there's quite a lot of things going on there for you guys. And the first thing that I've written up here is we do have to be realistic. For some of you, it might only be a couple of months that you've not been in the pool. For some of you, it might be a whole year. And so it's not nice, but it is going to be hard. And I think as if we know that and we can say, okay, this is going to be tough, then when we get in and it is tough, we say, okay, this is what we thought. But if we think that it's going to be super easy peasy and you're going to jump back in and you're going to be swimming up and down the pool flying, you might be disappointed when it gets quite hard. And so just by taking a little time to say, okay, this is going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard, but I love swimming and I want to get better. So when it gets hard, I'm going to keep trying. That's kind of the first thing that I think is really important to think about. And then secondly, all of these feelings that we're talking about, anxiety, scared, excited, just happy to be back, they are totally normal. And so whether it is that we're getting upset because we're not as fast as we were before, or we're not as fit as we were before, or that it does just feel really hard and it's tiring, that's okay. And we're going to feel that way. I think every single person will feel excited, nervous, scared, tired at some point in the first kind of couple of weeks back in the pool. And so we just do have to remember these feelings are normal. They're going to happen. We're all going to have them. And we need to give ourselves a bit of time to feel them. So sometimes when we feel scared, we might try and hide it. Or if we're sad, we might try and bottle it up and not let anybody know. But it's really important that we do allow ourselves just to feel it. And maybe just tell one person, whether it's your mum or your friend at training or your coach, do you know, I'm feeling a little bit scared today, because the chances are they probably are too. And so we can spend that time and think about those feelings and not squash them down and try and hide them, then that'll put us in a much better place to move forward and keep getting better. We can also put into place what we call if-then plans. So you might say, if I feel really scared, then I'm going to take a deep breath and tell my coach that I'm a little bit scared. It might be if I'm trying to think of another feeling. If I am finding it really tough, I'm going to take 30 seconds and then rest. And then I'm going to remind myself that I want to be a better swimmer and this is why it's tough. So we can create little plans. We say, if this happens, then I am going to do this. And that can be something that we do on our own. It can be something that we do with our friends, or it could be something you do with your mum and dad or your coach. If I feel this, then I'm going to do this. My next kind of question was, can we better prepare ourselves physically for going back to the pool? Which is a bit of a trick question now because it's come so close. Hopefully you guys have all been doing some fitness stuff, maybe some stretching, keeping yourselves busy and active and moving so that you'll be physically prepared for when you jump back in the pool. But I wonder if it's maybe things like packing your bag the night before. You know, I wonder how many of you will pack your swim bag tonight in excitement for tomorrow. Can you pack a spare pair of trunks or a spare pair of goggles just in case something happens so that we're ready for whatever challenges might come? Yeah, so can we physically prepare ourselves for what is to come? And then the next point, I think, Jensen, I think you touched on it a little bit actually. Can we see it as an opportunity? We've had a whole year out of the pool where we've been missing it and thinking about, oh, when I get back in the pool, I'm going to do this, and oh, I'm going to give it 100%, and I'm going to concentrate on this, and I'm really going to focus on that. So can we make this an opportunity to come back and be better than we were before? Was there something that maybe your coach was always nagging at you, remember this, or think about this technique, and perhaps before it didn't feel, you didn't give it as much time or attention as you could have? Could this be your opportunity to come back and be better and show them how much something means to you and how good you can be? I think you said as well, Jensen, I feel like I'm picking on you, but for good reasons here. Can you just pick one thing on each training session to go in and have one focus and see it as an opportunity to jump back with that one focus? And then lastly there, I've got a little bit about talking to each other. Because as I said, everybody will be feeling different things. We'll all be going through the same challenges, maybe not at the same time, maybe some before and some later on. But it's going to be scary, it's going to be hard, it's going to make us nervous. And so if we can talk to each other, we can help each other through it. It's maybe the one time that we'll all be in what feels like almost exactly the same situation. I don't know, I think we've maybe got a couple of coaches on here. I think this can be a really good opportunity, and something I've done with a few clubs over this kind of last couple of months is to use it as a chance to really create that team environment and that kind of togetherness. We're all coming back with the same challenges, the same hardships. Let's help each other to get through it and come out a stronger team because of it. I wonder, before we go on and talk about the next bit, does anyone have any questions or anything that they just want to kind of share here? Any other ideas? Transferable skills from land to the pool, yeah. Opportunities to be even better than what we've done on land, yeah, definitely. Even better from what we've done on, yeah. It'll be interesting to see, actually, won't it, what we come back better at and what has transferred right over. Your land training will all be a lot better now, I'm sure. Done more running than ever before. Okay then, what I'll do, more grateful for the little things. That's a great point. What can help you from not being as nervous? That is exactly what we're about to talk about, Jessica. And I'll hopefully answer that question for you in the next bit of the session. Yeah, grateful for the little things. Just being grateful for being back in the pool, I think. To put a swimming cap and goggles on. I'm definitely looking forward to it. To see how our bodies change and what is better at. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if anybody's picked up a new habit or hobby that they'll maybe take forward with them. If you've been doing more stretching or yoga or something like that, that would be quite good that you'll continue doing when you go back to the pool. Okay, so we've spoken about anxiety, feeling nervous, feeling scared. What Does anyone want to share what anxiety is or what it feels like for them or what they think it is? Have you all got anxiety about what anxiety is? When you're nervous, yeah. It is when you are nervous. Or I wonder if you can, we've spoken about going back to the pool, something that might make us anxious. Are there other things that make you anxious? Worried, yeah, that's a good, worried, nervous, uneasy. Yeah, feeling you get when you're particularly nervous or scared of something that others might not get nervous about. So yeah, it's different for everyone. That's a really good point. So what might makes me anxious might not make you anxious. A feeling of unease. Yeah, it's that kind of uneasy. Oh, what is this? What's going on here? I don't know how I feel about this, or something bad might happen here, or I'm a bit scared about this. Yeah, when you don't know what's going to happen. And I suppose we don't know what's going to, well, we know that we'll swim when we get back in the pool, but we don't know what it's going to feel like. And that's kind of, we'll be grateful, we might be scared. And I think we feel anxiety in a lot of other places as well, don't we? Fear of things you can't control. Yeah. When we don't have control over things, we do get anxious, especially if you're a little bit of a control freak like me. I really do like to have control. Scared of something and you don't know the outcome. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. And so that's something that we get in swimming. We might get coaches, we might get at school, we might get at home. We get anxious about loads of things. So yeah, that's some really good examples of what anxiety is. And so I've got a little bit of a spiel here. Anxiety is normal. It is a normal human feeling that we all experience. And as you guys have said, usually when there's something that's maybe a bit stressful or we don't know the outcome for or what's going to happen. Yeah, so we all experience anxiety. If somebody tells you that they've never been anxious, they're maybe telling a little fib. And I think sometimes we get a bit confused when we hear the word thrown about or about anxiety, or if somebody has anxiety. And there's a difference between feeling anxious and having feelings of anxious and having what we call an anxiety disorder. And that is when somebody feels anxious for pretty much all the time for a really long period of time. And so that is quite different than just having a feeling anxious. And I think that's kind of important to just remember that you can feel anxious or nervous, and it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. And so what actually happens when we feel this anxiety is our brain is telling us that something bad might happen. So it might be that this could be dangerous, or I don't know what's going to happen here, this might not be good. And it wants that scary thing to go away. So our brain stops us from thinking about anything other than that scary thing that is a bit of a threat to us. And what happens is quite often we get our heart starts racing because our brain is telling our heart to pump faster so that we can get the blood to our legs so that we can run away from that scary thing. You might have heard of fight, flight, freeze. People sometimes think that that's what happens. Well, that's what we do when we feel threatened or scared. And so that heart racing is because it's trying to get your legs warmed up so that you can run away from the scary thing. So even that heart racing feeling when you get anxious or nervous, when you're behind the block about to start a race, is your brain trying to protect you. So actually anxiety is quite a good thing because it looks after us when we're scared, and it's trying to protect us from what we think might be scary. We've had a little bit, you guys have said a little bit about being nervous. I wonder, what does anxiety feel like for you? Because it is different for all of us. There'll be some things that are the same. But I wonder, what does it feel like for you? Or what happens when you're nervous? What do you do? Well, I start you off. You might get, yeah, bang on time, Josh, hot and sweaty. Oh, Ellen, thinking into the future about the worst case scenario. Yeah, that's a tough one. Kirsty, you talk really fast. Me too. You might notice it right now. I'm talking a bit fast because I'm a little bit nervous. Biting your nails, shaking your legs, overthinking, joke too much. Yeah, we try and make ourselves feel less nervous. If I can make people laugh, then it's okay. The overthinking one and thinking about the worst case scenario one, it is an interesting one, and it's tricky, isn't it? Because you think, what if this happens and what if that happens? And again, your brain's doing that because it's trying to protect you and prepare you and say, okay, well, if this happens, if your goggles fall off, what are you going to do? And sometimes that's not helpful. And we have to kind of say, okay, I know that my brain is trying to protect me here. It's trying to help me to make sure that I do the best that I can, but my goggles aren't going to fall off. Or if they do fall off, then I'm going to put them back on. And you kind of have to go through that process. So we've got a good mix there of people that do different things when they're anxious. I had another couple of ones here. So I said sweaty, which is when I get quite sweaty when I'm nervous. It might just feel like worried. You might feel, oh, what's going to happen? That kind of, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? That overthinking. It can be worried. You might feel like you have those butterflies in your tummy. And sometimes we talk about them as being because we're excited or because we're being nervous, or a knot in our stomach. There's loads of different ways that we can describe that feeling. I've already said a little bit about your heart racing, trying to help us to escape. That's a good one. Shaky, we might get nervous. Yeah, Mia said she shakes her legs, our hands. We might be all trembling. Another one I do is I get tense and my shoulders come up here when I'm nervous and I'm trying to hide and protect myself. I think restless, yeah, the same kind of thing. Shaking, moving about. That might be when you start joking, Katie, and you try and get everybody else laughing and stop them from being nervous. So lots of us feel anxious in lots of different ways. And the important thing is that we can learn, well, what do I do when I'm anxious? And then when we understand what we do when we're anxious, we can help to change that behavior. But if we don't know what it is we do, then how do we know what to change? So then I came up with a little list of things that might make us feel anxious. And I suppose I wonder if anybody has any more. I thought about big races and events. Sometimes when we're standing, on the block before an important race, you might be thinking, this is big, this is important. I really want to do well here. Another one that's a little bit different from actually performing is having difficult conversations. That might be with your coach about a race or something else, or it might be with your mum and dad or a teacher. I know that when I'm going to have a scary conversation with somebody, I find myself getting quite nervous, and you maybe practice what you're going to say. That's something that can make us quite anxious. Meeting new people, and that's one that we might all have to do soon. If you're going back to training with a different group, a different coach, you might be quite anxious about the new people that you're going to meet. People watching us. I don't know if that's just me or if other people get that too. Sometimes you think, oh, this person's watching me. That can make you quite nervous. Or if you know that your coach is really watching you for this one swim, that could make us quite nervous. Talking in front of a lot of people. Yeah, yeah, Jessica, talking in front of people is definitely something that makes us nervous. And then the last one I've written there is not wanting to disappoint somebody else. So it might be you might not want to disappoint your coach. You might not want to disappoint your mum and dad. Maybe just don't want to disappoint yourself. And so that's some things that can make us anxious. I wonder if anybody can think of any more. We've got talking in front of people. Tests at school. Yeah, that's a big one. And I wonder actually, walking past a large group of people on your own, yep. I wonder if we're all going back to the pool hopefully this week. trying to do something that is cool and it fails. Yeah, I wonder if that is because you've disappointed yourself or somebody else. Seeing people you haven't spoken to in ages. Yeah, we'll get that going back, won't we? Having to speak to people that you haven't been speaking to people for a long time. Now you're going to see all these new people again and have to talk. I'm scared about that. I don't know what I'm going to say. I wonder if you guys have all gone back to school in the last week and what that was like. Did that make you anxious? When you had to meet new people, have difficult conversations, maybe seeing people that you hadn't seen for a long time? A bit, yeah. And I wonder then, how did you cope with feeling anxious when you went back to school? Did you do anything? Did you tell your friends? Did you talk about it? Maybe. Okay. A tricky one. What we'll do then, that's the good news. If we know what makes us anxious, we can prepare for it. We can know that, okay, I'm going back to the pool. I'm going to have to see people I've not spoken to in a while. I'm going to be nervous. So I can get ready for this. And that might be creating if-then plans. So if I feel nervous, I'm going to take one big deep breath and remember that it's going to be okay. It might be something as simple as that. Sorry, I can hear the washing machine beeping and it's really distracting me. But if we know what makes us anxious, we know, well, this is going to make me nervous, we can prepare ourselves for it. And here's the important bits. So what do we do? What do we do when we're anxious? And the important thing is, again, the same way that everybody's going to feel anxious about different things. And in the same way that everybody's going to feel differently when they're anxious and their body's going to do different things, whether it's your heart racing or you're sweating or you're shaking or you're overthinking. In the same way, what's going to help us reduce our anxiety is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to talk through with you 4 kind of simple things that we can do that can help reduce our anxiety. And we'll maybe just have a little go at practicing each of them. They're really easy. And then it's about you figuring out which one works best for you and putting it into practice. In the same way as swimming, the more we practice it, the better we get it. The more we practice these little techniques, the easier they become and the more helpful they are. So the first one is called box breathing. And that sounds a little bit confusing, but it's super simple. We are just going to think about a box as being something that has 4 sides that are the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to hold it for 4 seconds, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to breathe out for 4 seconds, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to hold that for 4 seconds. Do we think we could give that a try together? I know. So we're just going to breathe in, hold it, breathe out, and then hold it. So just in for 4, hold it for 4, out for 4, and then hold it for 4. And already I'm talking a lot quieter and a lot slower because my heart rate is slowed down. So if 4 seconds feels a bit too long, you can just do it for 3 seconds, 3, 3, 3, 3. Or if you wanted, you can make it trickier and do 5 seconds. So what happens there is we slow our heart rate down and the blood stops pumping. And at the same time, we're telling our brain, it's okay, I don't need to run away. I'm safe now. And we start to relax a little bit more. So that's one way that we can relax a little bit and reduce feelings of anxiety. Number 2, this is a good one. So what we're going to do is we're going to use all of our 5 senses. And this one takes just a little bit longer. So we're going to think about our sight, our ability to hear, our smell, our taste, and our touch. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you might be able to hear, 2 things that you might be able to smell, and 1 thing that you might be able to taste. So that takes a little bit longer. But just by going through that process, okay, what can I see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see a pen, I can see a plant, I can see a window, I can see a notebook, I can see a computer. 4 things I can touch. Well, I can also touch my notebook, I can touch a pen, I can touch a mug, I can touch the desk. 3 things I can hear my washing machine beeping, I can hear the birds outside, and I can hear my chair squeaking. 2 things that I can smell. I've got an air freshener that I can smell, and I have lots of coffee in this room, so I can smell some coffee. And then last thing that I can taste, I was having some tea, so I've still got a little bit of tea in my mouth. And while that feels like it takes a little while, what it does is we talk about it grounding us and bringing us back to just, okay, what is going on in front of us right now? What can you see? What can you hear? And if you're somebody that when they're nervous does a lot of overthinking, and you start thinking about kind of what's the worst thing that can happen, or what if this happens, what if that happens, this can be a really good one for us because it takes our brain onto something else and we have to think about exactly what's in front of us. We're no longer thinking about all the what ifs. We're thinking, okay, this is here, that's there. We're right back into that present moment. So 5 things that you can see, 4 that you can touch, 3 that you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 that you can taste. And it doesn't really matter if you can't taste something or if you can't hear 3 things. It's just about going through that process and thinking, okay, what's happening around me? So you might say, oh, I can only touch 2 things. That's okay. And you just keep going through them until you've kind of found yourself back where we are in the present moment. So that's our 5 senses technique. Oh, I think somebody's here, let them in. Here we go. Oh. The third one is a thumb blow. I don't know if anybody's done this before, and the science behind it, the physiology behind it confuses me a little bit, so I won't pretend that I remember exactly how it works. But basically, you're going to take your thumb, you're going to put it in your mouth, and instead of sucking on it like a baby, you're going to blow out on your thumb. And when we do that, again, that's just another super simple way to slow our heart rate down. So maybe if you want to give it a go, I don't know if anybody's got a fancy watch on, I don't have mine on today. You can usually actually see your heart rate just slow down a little bit. So just a big. Is another good way to just slow our heart rate down. Maybe don't hold your breath for too long, but just a little blow, maybe 3 or 4 seconds can help us really slow our heart rate down. And again, some of these might be better in certain situations for certain people. If you're somebody that's heart's racing, that's a good one. That's one that I use sometimes. Can look a little bit funny if you look like you're sucking your thumb, but actually you know what you're doing. So that's all that matters. So that's another one for if you're you can really feel anxiety in your body. And then the last one is another one for if you're somebody who gets in their head and in their brain quite a lot. It is just about creating a random list. So what you have to do is try and list off as many things as you can that are not related to each other, which is much harder than you think. You think that sounds easy, but typically when we think banana, we might then start thinking about apples, and we might start thinking about other fruit. So it's about having one word and then trying to think about something completely different to it. So I wonder if we want to give that a go, if I just give you all a couple of minutes to see how many things you can come up with in a list that are not related to each other. So it might be banana, dog, tree, cup. Hopefully you can do better than me in just 4. So what I'll do is I'll give you a minute and we'll maybe have a wee competition and see how many things you can list that are not related. I think we're nearly there. Give you 10 more seconds. Okay, did anybody get more than my 4 things that weren't related? I hope somebody got more. 21, that is a lot. Nice, Kirsty. 15, 31, oh my goodness. 18, yeah, 20. You guys are obviously much better at this than me. 15, 15, 29. And I bet when you were listing off these 20, 29 things, you were fully immersed in trying to find something that was different. And you weren't thinking about things that would have made you anxious. 14, 15. Yeah. Awesome. Well done. So the random list one is the kind of the 4th technique that we can use. So what I'll maybe do actually is I'll just jump back to that list we had. So we've got our box breathing, which is our breathing for the 4 different breathe, hold, breathe out, hold. And then we've got our thumb blow. And the 2 of those are both really good ones for slowing our heart rate down and letting us just get to that kind of state of relaxation. So if you are somebody that gets heart racing, if they might maybe get quite fidgety, if you get a bit sweaty, those are kind of the things that might be really good for you. And then we had our 5 senses. So that was just listing 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 that you can smell, and 1 that you can taste. And then the last one there we had was our random list. So those 2 are really good if you are somebody that gets stuck in your head when you're anxious. So maybe you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Maybe you're just a bit nervous and you're worrying about it. So those are kind of more to do with your thoughts. And so that can take your thoughts back to right here, right now. Let's focus on what's in front of us, whether that is a race, whether it is doing a test at school, or having a difficult conversation with somebody. So those ones will kind of help you focus on the present. And the first 2 are kind of about slowing your body down. I'm now going to jump back through them all. I wonder, does anybody have a preference immediately of one of those 4? One that you felt was better, or one that you didn't like? Box breathing and the random list. You get really lost and caught up in the random list one, I think. Like, like really trying to think about it. The list, okay. We're liking the list. Any that you didn't like or that just didn't work for you? No immediate dislikes. I know sometimes some people have said to me they don't like the thumb one just because it looks like they're sucking their thumb, but I suppose it's because you guys are in the know. You know that what it's doing. And so you just got to say, oh, you think I'm sucking my thumb? Actually, this is going to make me better. That kind of approach. Okay, so I've got here about the key messages for, I think I've whizzed through this with you guys today, yeah. So we'll have a bit of time for questions. First thing, you're going back to the pool. It is going to be scary, it is going to be exciting, There is going to be a whole whirlwind of emotions with going back to the pool. There's going to be challenges, there's going to be great bits from it, but it is an opportunity, and we do really just, I'm sure you're all just really grateful to be getting back to swimming. Everybody is going to be feeling different things at different times, but we're all kind of in this same boat in this storm that talk to each other. If you're feeling anxious, the chances are the person beside you is either feeling anxious right now too, or they were feeling anxious yesterday. If you are scared, your coach is maybe a bit scared too, or they've maybe been scared already, and it's worth talking to each other and helping each other through it. Even if it's, oh, have you tried box breathing, or asking them what is it that you're a bit nervous about, or just reminding each other that this is a really exciting opportunity and how great it is to be back in the pool. Secondly, we've spoken about anxiety, and the key thing for me is to make sure that and remind you all that it is totally normal. Everybody experiences anxiety, especially this last year. I think we've probably all experienced anxiety more than ever. And to say that you're anxious or worried or nervous is okay. And if we can spend just a little bit of time, maybe writing down or thinking about, okay, what things make me anxious? And when I'm anxious, what do I do? Does my heart start racing? Do I get sweaty? Do I start overthinking? And if we know what makes us anxious and what we do when we're anxious, then we can prepare for it, and we know how to help ourselves when we get stuck in those thoughts or feelings. We then spoke through kind of 4 really quick, simple, easy techniques that can help us when we're feeling anxious. But as I said, like swimming, like any other skill, the first time you do it, it might be hard, but we have to practice it and remember to use it is kind of the hard bit. You've got them in your brain now for part of your toolbox, but the hard bit is when you feel that anxiety to remember to bring them out and use them. So that's why I think it can be really good if you can tell your friends or tell your coach, okay, when I feel anxious, which is before a race, this is what happens. If you could remind me to do some box breathing or to think about 5 things that I can see, that will really help me get back to the present moment. So we kind of have to work together to help each other do these things. You can do them on your own, but if we can help each other, and if you know that your mate gets really nervous before they jump back in the pool or before they've got to swim a 200 fly, and you can say to them, remember your box breathing, let's do 4 big breaths together, then you can help them to reduce their anxiety, and then they can do the same for you. So I think that's everything. I'm sure you guys might have questions. So yeah, if you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, unmute yourself, talk to me, and I will try my best to answer them.